It is the last, the absolute last show with Willie Hallihan for February. Today, Sporting a Cause. Willie's website is sportingacause.com. It's a list of fundraising events that are all somehow sports related. And it is February 28th, so this year marks the last one for February. Good morning, Willie.
Good morning, Marshall. You made me panic there for a second, saying this is my last show. I said, Jesus. I didn't know.
Just for February 28th, that's it,
And for the shortest month, it sure seemed like the longest, didn't it?
We packed a whole winter into it, I'll tell you that.
We sure did. Anyway, I have stuff to talk about. There are a couple of ongoing things I'll just touch on briefly because I've talked about them probably almost ad nauseum, but the Northwest Connecticut Reset Challenge is going on for a couple more weeks. That's the program of the Northwest Connecticut YMCA system, and that has combined in-person activities at the Y facilities and distance participation. When this is all over, I'm going to talk to those folks to see how that all went. I have a feeling this was very innovative. They just met this challenge of trying to help people out in a very trying time. And I have this feeling, Marshall, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think moving forward when this pandemic is over, and I'll put quotation marks around the over part, when we go back to some sense of normalcy, and quotations around that word too, things might not be entirely the same. There may be some things that remain changed in an ongoing way, and I think organizations like the Y are going to be the ones that, because of what they did to get us through this, we might be using some of their activities as a model of how to move forward. But anyway, I'm going to explore that. I'll certainly report on that in the future.
Oh, there's definite changes that are going to be permanent changes that are going to come about from the COVID-19 vaccination and the way businesses and people do business. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. The Lake Warmog Polar Bear Run was canceled. I talked about that last week, but the organizers are asking people, both the people who would have been running in the event, and it was a big one, big run, and other supporters to donate to the Guiding Eyes for the Blind. That's their the charity that they support, and that's an organization that trains seeing eye dogs to help the visually impaired. It's a great organization, great cause, and we're seeing a lot of events that are canceled where the people still ask supporters to support the cause because these are major fundraisers and they need to glean something from them, and is just one of those. The Polar Plunge of Massachusetts, I spoke about that. That's the Massachusetts chapter of the Special Olympics. Each state runs their own programs. They switched this year from a in-person one-day plunge to a virtual event, and that will continue through the month of March. A lot of events, instead of having an in-person race or whatever the event is, when they switch to virtual, lots of times they spread it out over a period of time so people can have a better opportunity to participate in their own way, in their own space, in their own time. The Northwest Connecticut Rod and Gun Club ham shoots continue. I talk about those a lot. There's one today, and they'll be held for the next 4 Sundays leading up to Easter. It's a shotgun shoot, fun event, and they raise money for their programs. The Rod and Gun Clubs in general are very conservation-minded, and a lot of their programs are geared in that direction. The Penguin Plunge is back. This is an event that's been held for years at Highland Lake in Winsted, and it's a big deal. I mean, that's an event that raises $100,000 a year for Special Olympics again, for the Connecticut chapter. And something happened last year where they didn't hold it, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. But anyway, it fell by the wayside, but it's back this year, and it's going to be held virtually. But the detail, this is just kind of almost breaking news, so I don't know a lot of the details, but I'll report more on that next week. And speaking in general about Special Olympics, I don't talk about it a lot, I don't write about it a lot, because there aren't a whole lot of events related to Special Olympics that are going on in the sporting cause tri-state area. There's the Penguin Plunge, and there's a swim-a-thon at Hotchkiss School that raises money for the swim team. But most of the activities, the actual sports, are held elsewhere in the state and the states, and pretty much outside. They tend to be in more populated areas, and I guess that makes sense. But there are a lot of athletes from this area that travel and participate, and I plan on following that more. To give you an idea of just how huge Special Olympics are both in the United States and internationally. There's a story in today's Waterbury Republican American. A high school phys ed teacher named Jen Capra was named the Special Olympics Coach of the Year for the entire United States. It's a big deal. But she was chosen as one of 147,000 coaches in the United States. That's how huge it is. And much has been written about the Special Olympics. It had an anniversary, I think, last year. Besides being a wonderful organization, a couple of decades ago, they added what they called unified sports to Special Olympics. And that was a program, an extra layer, where they pair high school students with Special Olympians to train together and play sports together. And I guess the benefits for both sides are just astonishing. Anyway, it's a wonderful organization, and I plan on writing more about it in the future, just because it's worthwhile. And we do have connections in our area to the Special Olympics through our athletes. Upcoming, the Canaan Boy Scouts are going to have their annual Pinewood Derby. That's going to be next month. Again, I'll have more details about that. I guess they had to scramble to try to find a place. They've held it in the past at the gym at the North Canaan Elementary School, and they had to find a different location. They found one. I covered it last year, and I was blown away by the size of this thing. I personally hadn't. The last time I knew anything about a Pinewood Derby, I think I had entered a car in it. So I was like 12 years old. But boy, how it's grown. They have electronic timing, and the gym was packed. And that's not going to happen, sadly, this year. There's going to be restrictions on how many people can go. But anyway, I'll talk about more about that next week. The Salisbury Beast Fat Tire Climb and Jamboree is going to be held Sunday, March 14th. It starts by the watering kettle at the town hall in Salisbury. It's a 30K time trial format event, and SWASA is the beneficiary of that. And the day before that, on March 13th, the Valley Cycling is hosting a Zoom cycling seminar with several expert speakers. Valley Cycling is kind of outside of our area, but when it comes to Zoom, there's no such thing as areas anymore where we could be everywhere. And I'm adding this to my calendar because among the things that they're addressing is bicycle safety. And as far as I'm concerned, we can never get enough of that. So that's pretty much it, Marshall. Things are the walk MS for multiple sclerosis is coming up in May, I think. I'll be talking more about that. Some of these big organizations are starting to weigh in with their programs. I think that's going to be virtual. Anyway, I sense this light at the horizon that things are opening up. People are getting excited about their events, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I think we'll have golf tournaments this year.
Yes, we will. I mean, we're seeing it at the end of last year, September on. At that point, September and October pretty much ends the season. But yeah, once people realize that they can be done safely and they could feel safe participating, and already I have a couple on the calendar for June. I'll be talking about those pretty soon. But it makes me feel good. With spring comes the new flush of events, and I'm psyched for it.
Especially this year, because it does appear that right now we have the variants under control, and now we have the next vaccination out, which is a one-shot vaccination,
Yep.
and we are we are well underway. The president wanted to vaccinate 100 million people in his first 90 days. It looks like it's going to be closer to 200 million vaccinations, which is actually about 100 million people because most people are requiring 2 shots. But that's working. Deaths are down, hospitalizations are down, infections are down. So, and it's coming into springtime. So maybe this is a springtime we'll appreciate more than most springs.
I think we will, and we should.
Willie, we'll speak to you next week.
Okay, Marshall, thank you so much. You take care.
Take care. Willie Hallihan and Sporting a Cause. You'll find Willie at sportingacause.com. That is sportingacause.com.